Welcome back to my name's Nate.
Who are you? Are you Lucas?
Yeah.
This is Lucas, and I'm David. And I know it's been a while since we've done a video, but today we're going to show you one of the fastest and easiest ways to make a baiting station or a bucket for baiting deer. If you're allowed to hunt in a state that allows baiting of deer and allows you to use something to hold it, this is probably the cheapest method I've ever used. This actually is the cheapest method I've ever used. We ended up having leftover cat litter box, and I just used this instead of a 5-gallon bucket. We use them a lot for goat feeders just because we can't use them for deer feeders in Wisconsin, but they definitely transfer over, so I'm going to go through how we do it. You're going to need a 5-gallon bucket. I use like a tin can for the part where I have to melt it. And then you're going to need 4 screws just to be able to attach the 2x4s. You're going to need a lid to put on the top. I know a lot of places sell the cheap lids, so I went to Home Depot, got one of the halfway decent ones. And what are those down there that we need, Nate? Watch out, Lukey. You're going to need 2 chunks of 2x4, roughly a foot long. Essentially, you need them for feet underneath the bucket to be able to hold the bucket up off the ground. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to start out. You're going to want the hole that you make to be almost directly in line, like directly perpendicular to the handle. And the boys are backing up because they know I'm going to turn the blowtorch on because they've helped me with this once or twice before. But the way that I do it is I set up where I need it to be, and then I start heating the can from the inside. And then the can starts eventually melting where I need it to melt. And it creates a lot of smoke. And then I usually watch it from the inside. I do put the torch down every once in a while and use just the heat of the can. You can also do this with a pair of tin snips or something like that as well. The burning plastic isn't the greatest in the world, but it's kind of one of those things you can put up with it if you want to do it this route. Like I said, I've used tin snips before. I've also used utility knives before. This one makes the most interesting way of doing it, it seems like. So, it's usually the way I do it. But you guys are getting the point of it right there. I'll turn it off probably in just a second here and try to edit a little bit of it out if you're going to do this route. So, okay, so we got this worked in here, got this cleaned up. The reason I like the can to melt it is because you end up with a little bit easier edge to work with, and it makes a pretty good indentation on both sides. You want a little bit of area for the feed to move on both sides. Then from there, take 2 screws and just get them started in the bottom of the bucket.
I can see with a bucket.
If you're trying to make a little bit nicer version of this, I would recommend putting like a fender washer or some kind of washer on the screw heads or on the screws just to get it to hold up a little bit better. You will pull screws through sometimes, especially if something really tries rattling this around, which it does happen, but not always an issue.
It's really blue.
Thank you for letting me know, buddy. Okay. Get it just far enough back that it doesn't cover up the hole. And make sure my hand's out of the way. They shouldn't be long enough to go through, but just for the sake of I'd rather be on the safe side than have a screw in my hand.
Yeah. And these screws are so short.
plus side, if you put a third screw in the middle, it kind of pulls down on the center of the bucket here, and it really helps open up the hole for the feed to come out. The hole size is something that kind of just comes from experience. You want it big enough to get feed out, but you don't want it so big that every little critter that's around can get in. So I make mine big enough that a mouse could probably get in it without any real issues, but small enough that like your chipmunks and your squirrels probably can't get in it. So I haven't had any videos of chipmunks and squirrels getting in it before, but I'm sure they probably have. Another thing that's helpful at this point, the further out you can space the blocks, the more stable it's going to be. But the big reason that I make the hole perpendicular to the handle is because I always put the handle down behind the feeder whenever I can, and I always put the handle down behind the feeder here, and then I tie rope around it to tighten it to a tree or something like that in order to keep the feeder from getting moved around too much.
That's 1 minute.
A little scared of that drill, Loki? But then all you have to do from there, you just throw your lid on it, paint it if you want, and then take it out to the woods and put your feet in it. So hopefully this one helps you guys out, and you can use it as something that you can use where you're hunting. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.